Hello and welcome back to That Is Effin' Weird. And we have a live episode, obviously, and you're probably catching it on the pre-recorded, but that's all right. You're stopping by, you're watching it, so that's all that matters. And if you have never been to, or if you've never seen the live fishbowl, kind of how it works is obviously you can see all the topics that we have right there, right? I'm going to spin this wheel and you can't see the top of the wheel. So what I did right now is I put that little alien head down there and whatever number falls beneath that alien head, that is going to be the topic that we're going to be talking about. So that is what we're going to be doing. And I think from now on, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be doing a themed fishbowl episodes. So again, for January, we were talking about UFOs, aliens, and I think we're going to stick with that for this fishbowl, and then so on and so forth every month. At the end of the month, whatever the theme was for the normal episodes, we're going to do that for a fishbowl. Now, so without further ado, we're going to take a spin on the wheel. All right, number 9, Brian O'Leary. Now, this guy was an astronaut, and something that he had said in a video. Let me see if I can actually pull up the actual video. I'm gonna have to share my screen. Let's see here. How do we do that? Share screen. Yep. Share screen. We're going to do the former astronaut. Here we go. Share. All right, let's take a listen.
Contacted that civilizations have been visiting us.
Let's pause it real quick and we are going to start over so we can actually hear it. Okay.
There is abundant evidence that we are being contacted, that civilizations have been visiting us for a very long time, that their appearance is bizarre from any kind of traditional materialistic Western point of view, that these visitors use the technologies of consciousness. They use toroids, they use co-rotating magnetic disks for their propulsion systems. That seems to be a common denominator of the UFO phenomenon and how they can work, manipulate time and space locally so that they can have their own anti-gravity propulsion and their own field of energy that's isolated, gravitational field, electrogravitational field that's different.
All right, so there's a lot to unpack here. Let's kind of bring it back to the beginning real quick. And as he's saying hit points, we're going to stop it and we'll kind of talk about it. There are 2 cents in.
That civilizations have been visiting us for a very long time.
So that right there, civilizations have been visiting us for a very long time. What I feel like that, what he's kind of alluding to, is the first thing that comes to mind is the pyramids, and I think that is something that a lot of people would think too. Is like, okay, if that's the case, because again, the pyramids are gigantic. In the fact that I think what most people think is that okay, it was just moved by by humans with the ropes and the logs, but it seems like they're just so well built and to stand the test of time and then just how they were built. Now again, I've seen some things where it's debunking the aliens and showing truly like how the humans actually did this and that aliens had no um part in it. But again, how the pyramids are aligned up is perfect with Orion's belt. Look it up. That is something that I know. I know that for like that is like something that is talked about, and I think it does line up with a couple other things. The pyramids that are just it's it's crazy, but I think that's kind of what he's alluding to is that they've been around helping us for centuries. Let's take another listen.
That their appearance is bizarre from any kind of traditional materialistic Western point of view.
That right there. So the first thing that comes to my mind is the Fresno Nightcrawler. I know this was kind of we talked about this last month or a couple months ago when we did the cryptids one. We talked about the Fresno Nightcrawler. Personally, one of my favorite cryptids that there is. But that is what I envision as far as what aliens may look like is because I just feel like we have, when it comes to Hollywood and everything, they make aliens sometimes look a lot like us, or have feet, or arms, legs, these appendages. When you have this astronaut right here, Mr. Bryan, saying that they're bizarre looking. And if you remember the movie Arrival, I feel like that is like a good kind of like depiction of what aliens might be, and like, like what they could possibly look like as these tentacle creatures. And I mean, it's just kind of wild to think about, but like that's probably what it is. It's the universe and the galaxy is just, it's so big to, to say what is, why would they look like us? But again, it could be something, because there is that theory that, you know, aliens made us from their DNA, or maybe a certain alien race made us from their DNA. So it's, it makes you kind of scratch your head. But I do believe what he is saying, where it's like, okay, yeah, they probably do look kind of different.
That these visitors use the technologies of consciousness. They use toroids, they use co-rotating magnetic disks for their propulsion systems. That seems to be a common denominator of the UFO phenomenon, and how they can work, manipulate time and space locally so that they can have their own anti-gravity propulsion and their own field of energy that's isolated, gravitational field, electrogravitational field that's different.
So again, when we talk about, um let's see here. Let's remove that one. Okay, we're back. Yeah, so when he's talking about the propulsion devices and everything, it's so crazy to think that, they would have like these rotating discs to move about in like the X and Y axes. And I think there's more than that even, but just how they manipulate, just time and space and everything. It's going to be so different than what we're used to. You know what I mean? And it's so crazy to think that it takes, like, look at Elon Musk with all his SpaceX stuff and everything, just these rocket boosters taking so much fuel. And it's just so crazy to think that it may be something where they are using devices in such a way that, like, they don't even need rocket fuel. Like, they could use magnet, like, again, I think another common theory out there is that they use the magnetic field of Earth. I mean, it would make sense. We have our magnetic field shielding us from, radiation from space, so it's, the magnetic field is doing more than just, just sitting there, just kind of hanging out. But, again, pretty crazy stuff. And I do feel like it's one of these things where, uh I feel like there's a lot of astronauts that kind of are like this too, where they see stuff, and they, for whatever reason, like, it's, I think there's been a couple of Buzz Aldrin interviews where, people have come up to him and like, have you even been into space? And he really can't say if he has or hasn't. But then there's other astronauts that say, like, we have been on the moon, and we've met with these creatures, and like, we've seen their underground bases just on the moon even. So pretty crazy stuff. If you're more interested in Brian O'Leary, he does have some other things out there. That was just a small snidbit of a clip that I again found on Reddit, kind of describing just some of the things that he believes. Now, it would be kind of interesting to dig a little bit more deep into why or how he knows these things. That is something that I just didn't have the time to look up. So if you're curious about it and you want to let us know, please look up Brian O'Leary, and then hit us up in the comments section to see if you found anything else, maybe some interesting things. Maybe he knows. Maybe he's been to Area 51. That'd be an interesting little talk, right? All right, let's spin the wheel. Let's see what else we have. We'll go with number one. Technically, I think it's the alien head is kind of falling on number one. So the Chicago orb. This one is crazy. I saw this, I think, like a day or two ago, and just how this orb is sitting in the sky during this. You know what? I'm gonna shut up and I'm gonna just show you the guys the clip. Let's see here. Share screen. Yeah, let's share screen. We are going to share the Chicago orb. All right, so let's take a look at this. Now again, there's no sound. Or actually, you know what? There might be. Let's see. All right, so sound doesn't really matter. We'll turn off the sound. We're gonna replay that. Look at how it's sitting there. Isn't that crazy? Okay, because again, it's you can tell that it's snowing right now. It's Chicago. You can see the rooftops. It is flurrying out. So you can it's not like it's coming straight down. That's the thing, right? The orb I believe is right here. Let me see. Nope, right there. Right there, right where my mouse is pointing. That is where the orb is sitting, and it's sitting perfectly still. That's the crazy thing about this is that anyone who grows up in snowy conditions when it's kind of like flurry like this, it's that wind is moving, and obviously this does not look like any sort of drone. And again, to me, this can't be like a balloon because why? Like a balloon would be moving with that wind. It'd be zipping across. It would be moving erratically. Now this right here, let's keep it going. Look at how it's kind of just ever so slightly moving. And you can see the snow as it's coming across the screen. It is moving. And it almost looks as if it's changing shape too. If we start at the very beginning, look at how perfectly circular that looks, right? Perfect circle. And if we go a couple more seconds, right about there, there we see it's either turning, like changing on its axis, or it is morphing into a different shape altogether. I think it zooms in one more time. Yep, right there. And now you can see it to be a little bit, again, it's a little bit more oval shaped right now. And then it's going to kind of go on its way, just kind of floating there, right? To me, I don't know. I can't explain this as being something. I don't know what else my pointer's right on it. I don't know what else you could consider this to be. Because again, drones, I know they can hover in windy conditions. I know they're good at that. But if you remember the New Jersey drone episodes that we've done in the past, and me talking about the FAA regulations on some of those drones, they have to have the same colored lights. I believe it's blue, or no, it's green and red. They need to be flashing. So even if this was a drone, it's drone licenses and the things that um just to operate them into the sky. You can't just fly them around for no reason anymore. Like, just for fun. I mean, you can, but if we look at, let's go to the beginning. Look at, let's look out the zoom out on this. So as soon as it zooms out, right about there, look at, all right. So my pointer or my mouse is on the orb right there, right? Look at how high that this possibly could be. Right? So let's just say that it is perfectly in line with this rooftop down here, and we trace that up. That has to be, what would you say, a couple hundred feet, maybe? Right? It's got to be at least 300 feet. Um, if it's in line with this one, even still, like you got to take an account for how high this building is too, and then add that to whatever the distance is right here. I don't think it's over there by that far building or whatever. I feel like it's more in line with, maybe somewhere in this trees over here, or if it's like it's somewhere along this axis, obviously, but like you can see some houses right up over here. I don't think it's that far back. I think it's honestly like right around this area going up. So what I'm getting at is that even at that height, based on the regulations, I think we can, let me look up uh how high can you operate a drone in the sky, obviously. Okay, so in the United States, the legal limit for operating a drone is 400 feet AGL. So that's above ground level. So again, we're looking at that orb, and to me, that is okay. So let's say this building is maybe not 100 feet. I don't know. It's kind of hard to tell, but even if okay, you're at 400 feet, I still feel like okay, so all right, it's 400 feet. What are the rules for lighting on a drone? So all commercial drones operating between sunset and sunrise must be equipped with anti-collision lights. Recreational drones flown at night also require navigation lights. Drone pilots license under Part 107 can operate at night if the drones have anti-collision lights visible for at least 3 statute miles. The lights must have a flashing rate sufficient for collision avoidance and be monitored on the top side of the aircraft. You look at this right here, and it's adverse weather, right? So you would think that okay, based on the what those rules are saying, right? It doesn't technically say you have to have it during adverse weather or nighttime. It just says sunset to sunrise. Again, I'm not sure the time of day, but I feel like if this were to be any sort of drone, you would have the flashing lights, right? And again, I just don't feel like it's a balloon of any sort. It's just a very weird object just kind of floating along right there. So again, it's very interesting that, let's look at the tail end real quick right there. Crap. Let's see, try to get it and stop. So like we're looking at the distance from maybe here to there. Again, I just feel like it's a little bit further away from this building too. I don't know. I don't know. It's to me, I don't feel like it's a drone. It's too perfectly circular. I don't know if any drones. Let me see if are there any, maybe there are any circle type drones. I'm gonna go into images and see if I can find any that there. Okay, so there are some circular drones where they again obviously in the shape of a circle, but none of them are spherical. So I guess that's what I'm kind of looking for here because again, if you when we looked at that, how it was moving, and just the shape of it, it's to me, I feel like yeah, if it was a drone, yeah, you would see it kind of almost like a line, but this is like a perfect circle. So again, I don't think this is a balloon of any sort. I do think this is a possibly a good, a good legit orb that this person caught. So good on whoever found that one right there, or whoever was able to actually capture it. That was pretty cool. So again, my thoughts on this, I think it was a legit probably orb that they did capture. And the other thing with orbs too, um, is that I really do think that they are just like because you like look at how we're using drones ourselves, right? Is that we're using them for surveillance to observe things. That's what I really do think orbs, you know, possibly could be is that these orbs are just for surveillance, right? Why bring down the whole mothership down here when you could just send like a little thing like that? So cool. Glad that was a really interesting. I'm glad that I was able to find that one. We will continue on our journey. So let's spin the wheel. I would say that's 6. Oh, okay. So again, this one is I'm gonna read the article, but then I'm also gonna find the actual I'm gonna find the article, read a little bit about it, but then I'm also gonna find the Reddit clip of this because the actual speech that he gave is pretty mind blowing. So the news article: aliens took a Russian politician to another planet. Here's all about Krisan and what he claims on UFOs. So, a video clip featuring a Russian politician claiming that he was abducted by aliens has gone viral again on social media, sparking fresh debate and disbelief. The man in this video is Krisan, and I'm not even trying to pronounce his last name. I'm just going to butcher that. The former president of the Russian Republic and a longtime chess official. He has said that the alleged encounter took place in September of 1997. Again, let me see if I can find it real quick. I did save it, so it shouldn't take me too long to find. Let's see here. So you're saved. Might be a little bit down there with in my saved history. Just give me a moment. But what he does say about these aliens and what he talks about and everything and like how they communicate with them is pretty crazy. It's if it is true, it's very very interesting. Gosh, I must have saved it a long time ago. Give me a second. It's around here. I know I have it. Here we go. Got it. Cool. All right. So give me a moment. I'm going to share my screen again. Share. All right. Let's take a listen into what he says.
They looked at me and said, "It's still early. You have not yet reached the level in your civilization's development to communicate with us." I said, "How come? We have television, the internet, spacecrafts." They asked, "Do you converse with ants?" I say, "No, well, we haven't learned to talk to ants yet. We live in different dimensions. Your only achievement in civilization is that we created you, the intelligent beings here. Not only humans, but everything that surrounds us, like animals, everything living around us, also has intelligence. The same goes for cats, dogs, cows, and so on. Your only civilizational leap is that before you used to eat them raw, and now you kill and cook them, and eat them in restaurants by candlelight. That is your level of development. Every creature that lives in the universe must go through certain stages, and you still destroy each other. We kind of created you here. Gave you a beautiful land, rivers, lakes, seas, and you pollute it with industrial waste, burn, cut down these forests. Right now, there are over 117 armed conflicts happening around the world. You are so beautiful. You have 2 arms, 2 legs, a head on your shoulders. Yet you direct all your science and efforts towards inventing weapons to kill each other as much as possible. Whether it's bacterial, chemical weapons, atomic weapons, or neutron weapons, you are always coming up with ways to kill more people. I recall the words of Nobel Prize winner Albert Einstein when he was asked, "What will the Third World War be like? What weapons will be used?" He said, "I don't know about the Third World War, but I know what people will use in the Fourth World War. Sticks and clubs, like our ancestors." And so, that's where our discussion ended, about whether to connect to television or not. On the other hand, they said they didn't want to disrupt the course of our civilization. You are currently at an embryonic level still. You have a scientist, Charles Darwin. He said that everything evolves evolutionarily. First, living beings were in the water. Then they came out of it. Then there was a monkey. And so humans evolved from monkeys. On the other hand, there are various religious teachings. You have books, like the Bible in Christianity, and others, like Islam, Buddhism, Judaism, and others, that talks about something else. So just imagine, if we say on television now, that we have been here for a long time, millennia, millions of years, watching. And not only us, but others too.
Okay, there's a lot to unpack there, right? I didn't want to interrupt him. I wanted everyone to have the chance to actually listen to everything that he had said, and then we're going to go back right now and we're going to kind of dissect each thing that he's kind of saying. So let's get right back into
They
it.
looked at me and said, "It's still early. You have not yet reached the level in your civilization's development to communicate with us." I said, "How come? We have television, the internet, spacecrafts." They asked, "Do you converse with ants?" I say, "No, well, we haven't learned to talk to ants yet. We live in different dimensions. Your only achievement in civilization is that we created you."
So before we get on, because he's about to get into another kind of topic right there, that is so interesting. Again, if this is true, that the fact that we have to, as a human race, be able to talk to and communicate with pretty much all the other life forms on Earth before we can then move forward. I just find that so interesting because, again, it is one of these things where, like, I'm thinking about that right now. Is like, okay, have we communicated with ants? No, we haven't. Yet we know how they communicate with each other. And it would be really interesting. I am sure that in some sort of way or fashion, we have the way to communicate to these insects, because I do know that they have, I feel like it's okay, it may not be like a actual verbal conversation, but I feel like there is a way that we are communicating with lower intelligence in a way that they do understand, i.e., they have made, what was it? I think like bees have now been able to be used for like sniffing out bombs. Um, and so like I just feel like there is a way that we can communicate to these lower intelligent species. It's just not like a two-way communication. So I don't want to say I got you, aliens, but like I feel like it's one of those types of things where it's like, okay, yes, we have, I feel like, gotten to that point. Um, and we are able to. So I don't know. It's just an interesting take that I feel like it's very interesting that we, as a civilization based like on these alien creatures, that we have to be able to, I guess, maybe have these intimate conversations. But again, it's, what would you even say? Like, how would you even? To me, I feel like it is almost the same with like a really hyper dog that sees a ball, where like you can tell that that dog just wants to, like, you just throw the ball. Like, you can just tell, like, it's like a ball, 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 ball. And I feel like that's almost like what the insects would be like, because I feel like they are just they are so motivated on finding food, protecting the queen, and then that's it. I could be wrong. I could be totally wrong here, and they could have a whole, thought process and everything, but I just don't feel like ants have a whole lot to say. Let's keep on going.
The intelligent beings here. Not only humans, but everything that surrounds us, like animals, everything living around us, also has intelligence. The same goes for cats, dogs, cows, and so on.
I'm gonna have to disagree with that one. I've met some pretty dumb cats and dogs, and I don't know. To me, I don't know. Maybe this is just me being ignorant and everything like that. I do know, like, that is the people do say like everything has. I think that's the whole thing with, like, with people who don't eat meat. If you are one of those people, that's totally fine. But like everything, like, has thoughts and feelings and all of that. But like, I just like fish. Really, like, I just feel like fish are just not thinking a whole lot, not doing a whole lot. I I don't know, maybe that's why. Maybe I'm still like that dumb ape and everything like that, and that's why we haven't evolved yet. But it it would be cool if someone created like the monkey thought translator thing from like the, was it Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs, the Steve monkey thing. That would be pretty cool to actually see what our thoughts, or what the animals that were, would you really want to know what your dog or your cat was thinking about, though? I don't know.
Your only civilizational leap is that before you used to eat them raw, and now you kill and cook them, and eat them in restaurants by candlelight. That is your level of development.
I feel like that's really harsh to say. That is our only level of development is we once ate raw animals, but now we only like we eat them cooked because we now have fire and that's like our only achievement. I feel like that's a real slap in the face. We literally I had talked about this in the last thing with Brian O'Leary with the whole SpaceX thing. You cannot tell me that we haven't made some sort of leap in human elevation. Uh, just the fact that we can make a spaceship that goes out into space and then comes back and lands perfect. Like I just feel like a computer. Are you kidding me? Like I just feel like these aliens, if what he's saying is true, they're throwing some low blows here because I do feel like we have like look at all the authors and the artists and the painters and just like that level of artisticness. I just feel like you can't tell me that that doesn't take a certain level of intelligence and thought and it's I don't know. Maybe here's the thing too, right? Is that the aliens whoever picked this dude up, right? If you remember the conversation that we had with Audrey earlier in January, she had even said that there's many different species of aliens. So like this alien could just be, just kind of a dick, you know what I'm saying? So it's like one of those things where it's like, okay, maybe other aliens are a little bit, nicer about the whole thing and everything. So let's keep on listening.
Every creature that lives in the universe must go through certain stages, and you still destroy each other. We kind of created you here. Gave you a beautiful land, rivers, lakes, seas, and you pollute it with industrial waste, burn, cut down these forests. Right now, there are over 117 armed conflicts happening around the world. You are so beautiful. You have 2 arms, 2 legs, a head on your shoulders. Yet you direct all your science and efforts towards inventing weapons to kill each other as much as possible. Whether it's bacterial, chemical weapons, atomic weapons, or neutron weapons, you are always coming up with ways to kill more people.
That I it's sad, but I feel like it is true. I don't feel like we had talked about like this with Audrey too. She had said that, it really is like the only way that we can move forward as like a civilization is by getting past that, no more fighting, no more conflict, no more crime. Uh, it does suck, but I do think there's some truth with that because once you finally like if no one's worried about hurting each other any hurting each other anymore, like we can now take steps. It's like, okay, let's focus on the next thing. I just don't know how you do it. That's the problem I think with all of that is there's no real good solution as far as you know stopping all of this conflict. I wish there wasn't any. That would be perfect. Yeah, you know how much I would love that. I would love to not have to worry. I'm not saying that I worry about it 24/7, but I do think if you don't think about it and you're not at least on some level, like worried about crime, you can't live in that, ignorance and everything. But it's just one of those things where it's like it would be awesome to not have to worry about crime. It's never have to worry about just like imagine never having like locks on doors. Ever think about that? Like locks on a door, that would not be a thing. Would we even have like obviously we'd probably have doors, to keep like bugs and stuff like that out. But can you imagine a world with like no security codes, no no locks, no imagine like the convenience stores, right? If everyone was honest and there was no crime, there was no nothing. Can you imagine, just going into a convenience store and you just pick what you want, you just pay and you leave. There's no one there watching. Like it's just a weird kind of concept to think about when we think about no crime. But I think what he's really getting at is like killing each other. I'm thinking of stopping at the convenience store when it's midnight or 1 o'clock in the morning.
I recall the words of Nobel Prize winner Albert Einstein when he was asked, "What will the Third World War be like? What weapons will be used?" He said, "I don't know about the Third World War, but I know what people will use in the Fourth World War. Sticks and clubs, like our ancestors."
That is, see, like, okay, tell me that's not some higher level thought process right there, that like our only achievement is like, not even like, to come up with that concept, to think about that is like, that is amazing. That it's so true, where it is, probably the Third World War. We're going to use everything that we have. Everyone's going to use everything, and then it's just going to go right back to the very start. It's a scary thought.
And so, that's where our discussion ended, about whether to connect to television or not. On the other hand, they said they didn't want to disrupt the course of our civilization. You are currently at an embryonic level still. You have a scientist, Charles Darwin. He said that everything evolves evolutionarily. First, living beings were in the water. Then they came out of it. Then there was a monkey. And so humans evolved from monkeys. On the other hand, there are various religious teachings. You have books, like the Bible in Christianity, and others, like Islam, Buddhism, Judaism, and others, that talks about something else. So just imagine, if we say on television now, that we have been here for a long time, millennia, millions of years, watching. And not only us, but others too.
So his ending piece right there with like the books and the religion and everything like that. I'm wondering if he's alluding to like the fact that none of them are right or none of them are accurate. I'm wondering if that's what he's kind of alluding to. I can't say for sure. But it almost seems like, the again, what we had talked about with Audrey and how she had said like no more religion, no more crime, and then we could finally move on. It's just it's so weird, because I feel like religion is just so, it I feel like it's such an important part, and it gives so much meaning. And it's so crazy that, just to think about, like, if there was no more. And I don't know, again, like, we had talked about this too. Like, I honestly think, even if aliens did come down and they were like, "Yep, we created you," I still think there's going to be a population that's like, "I don't believe that, and I don't care what you're saying. I don't think that's true, and I'm not going to lose my faith because of what you're saying." So it is pretty crazy. I I don't know. I don't know. It's because, again, he said this happened in September of 1997. I'm wondering if he had any other encounters, or why he was, if he ever goes into like why he was selected, or if they say like, why he was talking with these aliens. Really interesting interview, as you saw. That's why I wanted to have it on this Fishbowl and kind of talk to you about it. So if you want to know more, again, his name is Krisan. He's the former president of a Russian country. If you type that stuff in there, you should be able to find a little bit more about him. But let's keep on trucking. Let's see what else we have. I would say that is number 8. Okay, so Three Eye Atlas. Now I'm going to be talking on a web page that I found. Let's see here. Where is it? Nope, that's not the one. Okay, so I'm going to be reading stuff. It's from usatoday.com. So now, again, whether news sources, whether you're in favor, in favor of them, it's neither here nor there. It's really just kind of, let's see what they're talking about on what this object is, because, again, it was really hot in the news and on Reddit and all the UFO and conspiracy and like all those weird little subreddits. I kept seeing a 3 AI Atlas. I wanted to talk about it in a normal episode, but again, I just don't know that much about it. And again, I tried to find someone that did know some stuff, but no luck. So I did find this article. I'm going to read a little bit about it. I will share my screen so you can read along too. Whoops. Let's remove that one. We don't want that. We want, let's see here. We want, there we go. Okay. So 3i Atlas comet is definitely not an alien spaceship, scientists confirm. Oh, that's kind of disappointing, but let's see what it says. So those concerned that 3i Atlas arrived to our solar system meant that some sort of alien invasion was imminent, can breathe a sigh of relief, echoing what NASA officials have long said. A team of scientists is inciting that the interstellar comet first spotted in July in our cosmic neighborhood is definitely not alien technology, and they have the evidence to prove it. To be clear, the odds were always stacked against 3i Atlas being an extraterrestrial spaceship. But new research should put a nail in the coffin on the popular conspiracy. How can this be? Well, the team of astronomers pointed a massive ground-based telescope. Oh, okay. So they pointed a massive ground telescope at 3i Atlas on the day that the visitor from another solar system was the closest to our planet. What they found was nothing, or at least no telltale radio frequencies originating from the comet that would suggest it was artificial. Here's what we know about the latest observations of 3i Atlas, as well as why some believe it could have been an extraterrestrial spaceship. All right, so the object known as 3i Atlas made news in July of 2025. That's kind of crazy. I didn't think it was that old, but that's almost like 7 months old. When it was confirmed to be the third object ever discovered originating outside the Earth's solar system. When it was spotted, 3i Atlas was traveling that fast, according to NASA. Observations of 3i Atlas speed and trajectory confirmed to astronomers that it formed in another star system and was ejected into interstellar space, the region between the stars, according to NASA. For possibility billions of years, the comet has drifted on a journey from generally the general direction of the constellation. I'm not going to pronounce that, in the center of the Milky Way galaxy. Okay. That recently brought it into our solar system. Though astronomers don't yet know exactly how big 3i Atlas could be, estimates range from a few hundred feet to a few miles across, according to the European Space Agency. But data from the Hubble telescope helped astronomers estimate the size of the comet's solid icy nucleus as anywhere from about 1,400 feet to 3.5 miles in diameter. Holy shit. Can you imagine? 3.5 miles. Just an object shot into space coming towards Earth. Unlike comets bound to the sun's gravity, 3i Atlas is traveling on a hyperbolic orbit that eventually will carry it out of the solar system and back into the interstellar space. Is 3i Atlas an alien spaceship? Scientists disprove extraterrestrial conspiracy. The stranger outside jaunt through Earth's cosmic neighborhood has sparked plenty of conspiracy theories. One particular infamous idea, about forth by a Harvard astrophysicist named Avi Loeb, is that 3i Atlas could be an alien spaceship. Though Loeb was conceded on the publishing platform Medium that the object is most likely a comet of natural origin. He has not yet ruled out the possibility that it could be an extraterrestrial technology, but in a new study that is yet to be peer-reviewed, astronomers say that their recent observations of 3i Atlas formed no measurable signs of extraterrestrial technology. The astronomers are part of the international group called Breakthrough Listen, who are hunting for intelligent life in the cosmos. So is this saying that the astronomers, okay, But in a new study that has yet to be period, astronomers say their recent observation of 3i has found no measurable signs of extraterrestrials. Interesting. So the ones that are looking for intelligent life are saying that there is no intelligent life for 3i Atlas. Okay. Using the Green Bank telescope in West Virginia, astronomers observed the interstellar comet December 19th, 2025. So that's not too long ago. The date came closest to Earth and recorded no techno signatures in the form of radio emissions. The findings are why the team concluded that 3i Atlas is a natural object. Okay. It is unclear whether one should expect a technological object to transmit radio signals to its senders. A proper observing program would have mentioned 3i Atlas from many directions from a long period of time. Interesting. So, long story short, I think that's what all the hype was about, was that how fast it was coming into our solar system or coming towards Earth, and then the fact that like how big it was. I do remember hearing stories or remember seeing stuff about like people thinking that it was a ship, but apparently because it was sending no radio signals, therefore it cannot be an alien spaceship. However, I do feel like, okay, it's almost like I keep going back to Mr. Brian O'Leary, where he said we cannot imagine like what aliens look like. Maybe they are transmitting. It's just we can't pick it up because they are on a completely different frequency or in like a whole nother dimension of like shooting off signals and everything like that. You would think because they are so advanced that they would be able to maybe tap into our radio signals and then like, but maybe they're transmitting in such a way that we just can't hear it, or we can't, like, it's not acknowledged. Because hold on a second, because I do feel like there are times where pilots will be flying and say that they see a UFO, and on the ground radars they can't see it, but up in the sky they can. So what if there is some sort of cloaking device, cloaking signal that it's like, hey, we don't want to transmit to Earth because they're not ready. Again, we just heard that from Mr. Krisan from Russia, that he said that we are not ready to like communicate with them because we haven't even communicated with ants. So if these alien creatures know this, maybe they turned off their transmitting thing. Be like, don't send anything to them. Just kind of pass on by, let them do their thing, and just don't interact with them. It's a possible. It's theory. I'm putting the pieces together, right? So very interesting stuff. We won't spend too much more time on 3i Atlas. I think that kind of, we got a little bit more time left. We got a couple more topics I want to try to get to. So let's keep on keeping on. Let's see here. What else do we have? Let's bring you back here. All right, let's spin the wheel. We have time for about one more five. The pale crawler. Oh, I'm so glad it landed on this one. I was really hoping we'd get to this one. Again, give me a second to find the actual clip. Super freaky. This pale crawler creature. Again, we've talked a lot about UFOs and everything like that tonight. So I'm glad we actually get to maybe talk a little bit about an alien, possibly. Kind of creepy. Almost looks more maybe cryptid like. Let me see. I saved this kind of a while ago, so I'll try to find it. I made sure that I had all of these clips. There we go. Very nice. Okay. All right. Let's see here. I will share my screen. And we will talk about this creature. All right. Here we go. Let's see here. Sorry, got distracted. All right, here we go. I don't think there's no sound with it. All right, let's take this from the top. All right, so just that still image right there. I feel like the arms are way too skinny. Now, I know there's some skinny crackheads and everything like that out there, but like holy cow, look at those legs and everything. Let's see if we can find a good. It just is so, and like if like here's the foot, right? And here's that, like there's like no calf muscle whatsoever. And the way that this body is, it's it just doesn't look right. You know what I mean? Where it doesn't look like it is I'm trying to freeze it now. Okay, like okay, so this one right here to me looks like okay, possibly, somebody on all fours, monkeying around, whatever. But again, the foot almost looks like it could be I don't know, it looks like it's more than just like a normal human foot where it looks a little bit longer than usual. And then the way that it scurries off too, just kind of darts right off. It's moving kind of fast. I guess if we stop it right here, I guess you could almost argue and say like, okay, this is like eye right there. That's the nose, the skinny part of the neck, almost maybe a pointed head, maybe. But again, it's so distorted, and of course, why wouldn't it be? But yeah, this one is very, very weird. Very look at how fast that thing is moving. What bugs me about this, right, is that where is the video of it all the way back here? You know what I mean? Where again, like I don't know if this is one of those types of cameras where it just, as soon as it detects movement, then it takes a couple of seconds, then kicks in. But I feel like we are missing a couple of seconds, a couple of frames where where this thing is. And again, look at just like it's so skinny looking, right? I don't know. This one is creepy. I would love to think that aliens are, roaming around like this, but with how AI technology has been roaming around and advancing and everything like that, it would be too easy to make a fake little video like this. It almost looks AI generated too in a sense. Yeah, it's just and this it's so weird because I'm wondering if this is like two different angles from like two different houses. So I don't know if it was from the same house, what it could be, but it looks like it kind of crawls away, kind of sits there, and then a pair of headlights and goes running off. Again, I don't know. I don't know. It's hard to tell. It's hard to tell, but very interesting. Kind of reminds me of the Fresno Nightcrawler. That's why I wanted to bring this one up. But yeah, I'll let you guys be the judge of that one. To me, it was just it's too skinny. The arms and the legs are way too skinny to be like a person. But then the image is so distorted, and like why wouldn't it be? So let's see here what time we got. We have time for what do you got? I think we might have time for one more. Let's spin it. Let's see what it lands on. Let's remove that. Cool little video though, right? Cool little video. We already talked about X, the Voyager Golden Record. So, for any of you that is unaware, we actually have the Voyager Golden Records. So these were made back in the day when we were first, getting out into outer space and everything like that. Really cool, the golden discs. Um, so the Voyager Golden Records are two identical phonographic records with one copy aboard each of the Voyager spacecraft launched in 1977. The records contain sounds and data to reconstruct raster scan images selected to portray the diversity of life and culture on Earth, and are intended for any intelligent extraterrestrial life form who may find them. The records are a time capsule. So let's see here. The Voyager 1 probe is currently the farthest human-made object from Earth. Both Voyager 1 and Voyager 2 have reached interstellar space, the region between the stars where the galactic plasma is present, like the predecessor Pioneer 10 and 11, which featured a simple plaque. The idea of both Voyager 1 and Voyager 2 was both launched by NASA with a message aboard, a kind of time capsule intended to communicate to extraterrestrials a story of the world of humans on Earth. While the Pioneer plaques established the whatever the idea for including information on humanity aboard the Voyager. Let's see here. I think there are some actual little audio clips of it. Apparently there's 116 images. Let's see here. Let's see what else is on there. The musical sections are also interesting. So we have Louis Armstrong, Chuck Berry, Johnny B. Good's on there. Let's see here. Mozart, Beethoven. So we have a lot. You have the DNA, the planet, the DNA, human anatomy, and the reproduction. So there's a lot of the information on what people would consider to be, just old records and everything like that. But there's these golden discs. It really would be interesting to see if intelligent life could decipher that. Again, it reminds me of the movie Arrival, where the lady has to, decipher what the aliens are trying to say. So pretty cool. I'd look a little bit more into that one as well if you're interested. It's pretty cool. A little pretty cool. It's what I find interesting about that too is that if a intelligent life, finds it, deciphers it, and was like, holy shit, these are some pretty cool, creatures living on this blue ball and everything like that, and they zip over here, and then they're gonna look at Earth now in the 2020s, obviously 2026, but they're gonna see a world that is 50 years into the future, where we're all carrying around iPhones and we're listening to completely different music, and just it's going to be completely different than what is probably on those discs. Not too much, because again, we can't put everything on there, right? It's almost kind of makes you question, why not just launch a fucking hard drive out into space and hopefully they catch it. But nevertheless, pretty interesting stuff. Yeah, and that I think wraps up the UFO/alien fishbowl for this month. We didn't get to hit again all of them, but typically we don't get to hit everything for the month. It's just not enough time. There's just not enough time. But I hope you did enjoy this episode. Keep in mind, again, we do this at the end of every month. It's usually one of the last 2 days of the month. So if you're watching this, if you're listening to it, you want to be a part of it, you want to join in on the conversation. Obviously, I was here by myself talking, but you obviously are watching it now. So why not come stop in? Tell me what you think. You don't even have to be on the show, honestly. If you just want to throw some comments in there, by any means. I'm looking to see who's watching right now. Literally no one's watching, but that's okay. I'm having fun because, someone's catching this right now. But I'm just rambling at this point. We also do have a more in-depth Zazzle that's going to be, in season 2, we're going to try to revamp that. So what we're kind of planning on for that is every month we're going to have that themed shirt. So UFOs for January. That shirt's coming out soon. And then again, every month there's going to be that theme. And then if there's a really cool episode and we want to do like a specific kind of t-shirt for that or whatever, we'll also put that up. So again, check out the Zazzle for some clothing if you would want that. If not, you just want to, listen to the show. Podbean is a great place to catch all that stuff because we do have not a promotion board, but a bulletin board that, kind of has everything of what's going on, what you can look forward to listening. Also has some links to some of the other stuff that we have. So i.e. our Discord. So if you want to jump in the Discord, because we're always posting things in there and when I'm recording. So if you actually, again, want to be a part of the conversation, you want to talk, by all means, feel free to join that way. And then again, if you want to, talk about anything weird, just send us a comment, send us anything really, and we'll try to add it to the show. But we really do appreciate you taking the time to listen to listen to me ramble and everything. But I hope you're having a great day. I hope that you stay safe out there. I hope you enjoyed the alien month that we had. And something that you can look forward to in February is we have a criminal month. Not to say that to do criminal activity by any means, but it's just kind of highlighting maybe some odd stuff that you didn't know about, some weird criminals, some unknown people that are, doing some bad stuff. It's just one of those things where it's like, yeah, why not? Let's talk about it. It's weird. It's effing weird, right? That's the name of the show. So just remember the old saying that we have here. We don't want stuff that's normal. We want stuff that's effing weird.